Hi again, I'm Ken,
And I'm Melissa.
and today we're going to talk about what it takes to move to Spain with a dog, specifically this little mug right here, Tinkerbell.
So I guess we can start with when we got Tinkerbell. It was COVID times. We weren't doing any traveling. We were working from home. So we were home all the time. We decided that we were going to rescue a senior dog and give them a comfortable, loving end of life. That's where our journey began. And that was kind of a difficult journey. We applied for a few dogs, and for what reason, they either went too fast or we had a yard but it wasn't fenced, so we weren't approved for that one. But one day, this little mug, 10-year-old terrier mix, as we were told, named Tinkerbell, popped up in our mailbox.
And at the time, I was working for Disney, so Tinkerbell completely on brand. It just seemed like it was destined to be, and we did get approved to get her, and we got her about 5 years ago.
So we don't know a whole lot about her background. What we were told is she had one family, and they had her, and unfortunately had a surprise pregnancy or a new pregnancy, and they were unable to take care of both of them, and so they opted to get her to a rescue. And what we can tell from her story, or at least from living with her for 5 years, is that she was very loved. She was very trained. She was very accepting of love. So we know that existed. She was trained. She, in 5 years, has never had an accident in her home. She is the sweetest thing ever. She's a little shy, but other than that, she is an angel, really an angel.
But yeah, and she gets very excited. She definitely knew certain key phrases. I don't want to say them now because I'll probably set her off. But she definitely knew certain key phrases when we got her. And so, yeah, like Melissa's saying, she is just an absolutely adorable dog who has me completely wrapped around her paws. And as you see, she has claimed me as a person.
What we can glean from living with her for 5 years is that perhaps someone new or some new environment came into her life, and maybe there was some yelling, because she's very against yelling. She doesn't like that at all. Loud noises. Of course, she doesn't like the sonic booms or fireworks, but that's normal. But anytime if we're watching a football game and we yell, she doesn't care for that either.
See, that's what she's saying
so
right there.
There was clearly some sort of loudness or I'm not sure in her background. But so I want to say to the person who got her to the rescue, who realized that was not a good environment for her, thank you. You did very good by her. I'm sure that it took a lot of courage to do that because you clearly loved her. But it was brave and strong, and she is doing very well. She is loved, she is thriving, and she's moving to Spain.
Yeah, I definitely think she is living her best life right now with us. No doubt about that.
So no, she was told to us that as a 10-year-old Chorky, a 10-year-old terrier, which we didn't really believe. So I saw a little Chihuahua in her face, so we decided to send off her DNA to Embark, and it came back as Chorky. She was 40% Chihuahua. She had a lot of Yorkie, a little bit of Shih Tzu, a little bit of Maltese. She doesn't have any of that Chihuahua anger issues, though, so that's awesome for us.
Right. But then the other thing about where we shot to is 10 years old. When we saw some of the paperwork, it actually looks like the original owner said she was 5, but the vet, looking at her teeth, thought her teeth were so bad that thought she was 10. So, and seeing her now, how she's still frisky, she still has a lot of energy. You wouldn't know it right now, but she really does. So we really think she probably was 5 when we got her. So we think she's 10 now and not 15. She doesn't act like a 15-year-old dog.
So while we didn't adopt a senior dog, we did get an adorable dog.
Yes.
She does have her quirks, definitely has her quirks, and that's actually kind of funny. But one of the concerns we do have is she has some separation anxiety. And I don't know if that's because she was left by her original owner, and then she went through foster for a little bit until she got to us. So she doesn't like us being away from her. She has to be on us, next to us, something, seeing us.
Yeah, since we've had her, she's literally been alone for 2 hours with us. We take her if we are going to eat, we sit outside. If we're going to Home Depot, she's with us. She's gone to vote. She's been to CVS with us. And a number of
She
other
got a
stores.
voting sticker.
Yeah, she did get a voting sticker. She got the I voted sticker. She voted straight dog party. Bone in every bowl. That was their campaign. But yeah, so she goes wherever. And if we're going to a grocery store, one of us goes in, the other stays in the car with her.
Right.
So we stay with her all the time. And we're also lucky enough to get a pet sitter that when we do travel, that also stays pretty much all at home with her as well. And he absolutely adores her. So she's not alone even when we're gone, when she's with her pet sitter.
Shout out Joey.
Yes, shout out Joey. He's very good to her.
She does go with us, but she is shy, like I said. So what we found does help her if we're going into some place that's crowded, like a park or a restaurant that's outside. We have gotten her a stroller. So she doesn't need it for walking. She's perfectly fine for walking, but it does give her a little cocoon, a little bubble where she feels safe and protected, and she still enjoys being out and about and getting all her smellers.
Right, and she does enjoy that. She's gotten better with dogs over the last 5 years. She's still very shy around new people, though. That takes a while for her to warm up to them.
Right. But one of the reasons that we don't leave her alone is because we did discover a few years ago she has a collapsing trachea, which doesn't cause an issue normally, but twice she's had a flare-up of it. And what we found is that when she's alone, when she's having anxiety, when she's panicking, that's when her trachea flares up and she has difficulty breathing. So we just have to get her to calm down and get that back under control. And that's why we don't leave her, right, which has been a hamper on our lifestyle for sure. But it's going to be a lot easier in Spain because they're more dog friendly.
Yes, that she can actually go into restaurants, she can go on the buses, she can go on the train, she'll get her own Metro pass, so that she'll be able to travel along with us as we explore, when we move to Spain, as we're exploring Spain.
Right. So one of the main concerns we wanted to address as we're moving is what's going to be the easiest way to get her there. We want to make sure we get her there and she doesn't have to be quarantined, because if you don't have all the paperwork in order, they have to go into a 2-week quarantine, right, and she certainly doesn't want that.
No.
So the requirements for getting her to Spain, there are quite a bit of them. First of all, there is a specific point of entry that she has to go to at one of the major cities: Madrid, Barcelona, Valencia, Malaga. There's maybe a few others, but those are the ones we were looking at. So you can't just bring them anywhere. They have to be a pet point of entry that can review all your paperwork and make sure it's in order. She has to have a microchip, which preferably ISO compliant, whatever that means, but we got her vet to make sure that she definitely does have an appropriate microchip. She has to have a rabies vaccination at least 30 days before we get there so that it has time to take effect. Again, she's always had her vaccine, so right, that's okay.
She has to be older than 15 weeks old. We've had her over 5 years, so check on that one, no question about that. She also has to have a health check from her vet to make sure that she's healthy and has no illnesses going into Spain. And that's going to be one of the trickier parts from the whole logistics of we're moving, because we have to get the vet saying that she's a clean bill of health. It has to be sent off to the USDA. Then it has, from the time the USDA certifies it, we have 10 days to get her to Spain. So that's the time for them to come back to our vet, get to us, and then we have to get on the plane and get to Spain within 10 days. So it'll allow logistics about how we're going to make that work with her. And so it's not just us, but we have that 10-day limit from the bill of health. That's one thing with us checking. It was only 3 months from our visa that we have to get a clean bill of health. With her, it's 10 days before we actually arrive in Spain.
Right, and that's tricky. And we have to bring the original ink signed, embossed document with us. That's what they have to see. And if you don't have it, you're immediately either sent home or sent into quarantine. So that's the tricky right, timing. We also, the other requirement is that for certain breeds, you have to be licensed to be able to bring that breed in. Of course, these are the pet requirements, not the commercial requirements. So right, even though she does have Chihuahua in her, they're not questioning that breed, that she's going to be too dangerous there. So
right. So then with all this, we started about how do we actually get her there. With our requirement is we want to make it as easy for her to go, and we only want to have one leg or one trip to get her to Spain. And we both love cruising, so one of the first things we looked at is there is a cruise line, Cunard, that does a cruise from New York to London that will allow dogs. It's like okay, that's a possibility we looked at, but unfortunately, the dogs aren't allowed to stay in your cabin. They have to stay in a separate room where you can only see them a couple times a day. So we figured that's not good for a week for her to be separated from us that long. So we pretty much immediately removed that out as an option.
So then, of course, we're looking at flying. What are the options there? Some airlines will allow you to bring a dog, but you have to leave them in the cargo area in a carrier. And there was just absolutely no way that we're doing that. We're not leaving her down in the hot cargo area alone. She would have a panic attack, and I don't even want to think about
Yeah,
that.
that's not an option.
So other airlines will allow you to bring them. She is small enough that she can go inside a carrier in the cabin and go under the seat, which is definitely an option. But I'm not sure how she would take to being under the seat. Now, we have seen video of people who have them out, either the carrier's open or the dog's in their lap. And, of course, the other passengers appreciate that. I would appreciate that. I know I would appreciate that. But not everyone does. So if any of the passengers or flight attendants have any issue, then you have to put them into the carrier and keep them there the whole time. And this is going to be maybe 10 hours in a plane. So, we want to look out for what's best.
Yeah, one thing we thought about, maybe we could book like an entire row and coach, whether it's a 3 or 4 seater. And so have us on the ends and have her between us and possibly take her out, and that could work. However, we've also seen a lot of cases where people are trying to sit in other people's seats that they don't book because maybe they think it's a better seat or for whatever reason. And
because who wouldn't want to be next to that mug, right?
Right. But if we say, no, we booked this for her, then if we take her out, they might be very quick to complain to a flight attendant and have to put her back in the carrier. Again, we're trying to avoid that if we can. So that leads us to our other options.
Yeah, there are. The last option that we found was there are certain airlines that specifically cater to dogs or pets in general. They're smaller planes and the pets are allowed to roam the cabin. They're a little more expensive, but I'm not sure the limitations on where they fly to and from are definitely there. There's only a few that do international flights. So we have found one that will go from New York to Madrid. So one leg, we just have to be able to get up to New York by car if we only want her to do one leg, and then get to Madrid from Madrid to Valencia by car as well. So that's an option that we're looking at as well. We haven't booked anything yet because we haven't even gotten our visas approved. But so we're looking at all of those options.
Right. But again, that's where we're trying to make her just one flight. And she agrees, only one flight. She doesn't want to have to make connections anywhere. So, again, this is where the timing goes in. But we have 10 days from the USDA approving it that we have to get it back. And if we go up to New York, that's a 2 or 3 day drive realistically. Then the flight to Spain. So there are some timing issues that we have to work through. Right. And like
once we get there, we get to Valencia. We have 3 days from when we get there until we get her into a vet and get her registered with the city as a pet that we're bringing in.
Right, and one thing I was going to say that they're limited. The one we've looked at is only once a month, so it's a very tight timing from when we go to the vet until we actually can get on the plane to go to Spain. So there's a lot of logistics we're still working through on that.
Very true, very true. But once we get her there, we get her registered, then she's free to explore. She's going to be walking around the Turia. She's going to be riding in her stroller on the buses, on the trains, and going everywhere with us. She's going to explore a lot of Spain. So if you want to follow her adventures, we'll make sure that you can see her new life in Spain.
Right, yeah. There'll be a lot of videos featuring her when we actually get to Spain, with her exploring Spain along with us.
And we'll let you know how the traveling went.
Yeah.
All right. So until then, I guess that's it for today.
All right, thanks.
Bye. Bye.